You're listening to Frank Talk, the no-holds-barred conversation about leadership with Dr. Cheryl Frankeny. Real talk, smart insight, helping leaders get ahead by staying ahead. Now, here's your host, Cheryl Frankeny.
I'm Cheryl Frankeny. Welcome to Frank Talk. Before we get started, let's take a second to talk about what we're going to be talking about in our first ever episode. First, what is Frank Talk? What makes it worth listening to? And who is our target audience? Second, who am I? And why should I be trusted or listened to? And third, how is our podcast going to be organized to meet our objectives? And what can you expect to hear and to see from us week after week? So what is Frank Talk? Let's just start there. What makes us different from the oceans of podcasts on the net? And to be frank, why should you care? What's in it for you? I know that's what I would be thinking. Well, Frank Talk is an honest take on leadership. And when we say frank, we don't mean harsh. Frank equals candid, the truth that leaders need. Frank Talk is the place to come to for what matters most to leaders, to those that they lead, and to the talent leaders who support them. Our podcast has three primary goals. First, we're going to explore the critical techniques that underpin successful leadership. Second, we're going to dive deep into the stories of real leaders dealing with real issues. You will hear the good, the bad, and the ugly that leaders have gone through to get to where they are. And then third, we are going to be hyper-focused on the topics that matter to leaders in business. AI in the workplace, remote team issues, talent shortages, ethics, empathy in leadership, and much, much more. Our goal is to comprehensively give you what you need most from a leadership podcast. So who is our target audience? It's simple. We have two audiences, the leaders driving the performance of your business and the leaders dedicated to identifying and developing your company's talent. We are targeting the leaders who make the tough decisions, the ones responsible for the results, the people, and the performance of your business, the leaders living in the war room every day. Every decision has consequences, every single one. So the right decision made at the right moment is crucial. Secondarily, we're targeting the people responsible for selecting and developing your organization's talent. The HR leaders, the organizational development leaders, the talent management leaders, the executive sponsors, and the line managers who are building the teams that are responsible for your company's success. So now let's talk about who am I, right? Although all of this sounds well and good, I'm assuming there's one burning question. Who am I and why am I worth listening to? Now, I do hold a PhD in industrial organizational psychology, or what's called business psychology. But more importantly, I have 20 years' experience in the selection and development of leaders and their teams, and in organizational growth and transformation. Now, I am not a recruiter. I am a leadership performance expert. I work on the front line of business as an assessor, a performance coach, and an organizational consultant. So let me break these down a bit so there's no confusion as to who's behind this podcast and its point of view. The first hat I wear is as an assessor. I have literally assessed thousands of leaders across multiple industries. As an expert in business psychology, I utilize reliable, valid tools to provide a diagnostic view of a leader's strengths and growth opportunities. I look at more than personality or work style. When we here at MPS assess a leader, we're looking at the capability set that drives leadership performance. That includes leadership judgment, how a leader makes decisions when the stakes are high. It includes analytical skill, how well they process information, connect the dots, and see patterns. It includes critical thinking, whether they can evaluate situations objectively, challenge assumptions, and adjust in the moment. And of course, it also includes interpersonal and work style traits, how a leader interacts with others, how they respond under pressure, how they influence, and how they show up as a part of a team. We can't see our own blind spots, but others can. So the more you know about yourself, the fewer surprises there'll be for you and for others. Leaders cannot be put into a simple category. They're not an IQ score, they're not a letter or a color or any other tidy little box that people try to put leaders into. There's a time and a place for some of that. But all in all, if you're not looking at that overall capability set, you'll be missing a lot when you're looking to help and support leaders. I heard that there are two kinds of people in the world: people who think there are two kinds of people, and those who know there are not just two kinds of people. The work I've done as an assessor helps leaders to better know themselves and to know those that they're working with. It also helps talent leaders to know how well an individual is going to fit into a specific role or how they'll address an organization's particular challenges. The second hat I wear is as a performance coach. I work with leaders in business. We focus on the specific objectives that they need to achieve and how to get there through their own effort and the effort of others. The leadership model that I utilize is totally skill based. It provides the techniques on how to be strategic, how to influence, whether you have authority or not, and how to effectively manage people and outcomes. It's called the SIM leadership model. SIM stands for strategy, influence, and management. I developed this approach in 2015 in order to specifically break down the techniques required to lead effectively. The fact of the matter is that leadership is learned. It's not something you're born with. So knowing how to use the right skill at the right moment to get to the right outcome is crucial. The third hat I wear is as an organizational consultant. My primary focus is to ensure that an organization or a team has the optimum design to perform and that its leaders know how to bring sustainable change and transformation. Organizational development is the deliberate, ongoing work of improving how an organization functions. It's not just training or change management, it's the whole system: people, structure, processes, culture, and strategic alignment, which means making sure the organization can execute against what it wants to do. It takes all of these for an organization to be successful, and knowing where the weak spots are is the beginning of sustainable progress. Now let's break down how our podcast is going to be organized to meet our objectives and what you can expect to experience. I mentioned earlier that our podcast has three primary objectives. Well, these objectives are going to be broken down into three separate series: the SIM Leadership Series, the Deep Dive Series, and the Hot Topics Series. So let's briefly go over Series 1, the SIM Leadership Series. SIM doesn't stand for simulation. As I mentioned before, it stands for strategy, influence, and management. This series explores the critical techniques that underpin successful leadership. Basically, these three categories are the foundation of leadership performance. After working with thousands of leaders, here's what I've learned. Most leaders are naturally strong in one, maybe two categories, but rarely all three. All right, so let's talk about what those three categories are. So, strategy. Strategy is seeing what's coming and choosing what to do, even if you only have a couple of seconds. It's the foresight to see what's coming, having the courage to look and adjust your plan, the ability to analytically and critically analyze the information you have and the information that you need. And it's the ability to reflect in the moment, which means knowing what happened prior, what's about to happen, and what needs to happen. Now, influence is the second major category. It's about getting your plan accomplished, whether you have direct authority or not. It's about being compelling no matter who you're talking to, managing how different people see you, being able to build trust even in trying circumstances, and building your network so that you're connected to the decision makers before decisions are made. And the third category is management. And it's exactly what you'd expect it to be. It's all about performance. It's about managing the design and the performance of your piece of the business. It's about building and inspiring your team. It's about having the easy and the hard conversations that ensure that people remain aligned. And it's about working yourself out of a job, which means growing, even stretching those under and around you so that you can confidently walk away knowing that your area and your people are in an excellent position to succeed. It's like the wobbly stool metaphor, right? So one weak leg makes the whole thing unstable. And instability always shows up under pressure. It's like the brilliant strategist who creates beautiful ideas, but they can't manage or execute. Or the influential leader that's loved by everyone, but they go in circles because the strategy piece is missing. Business context matters. When I assess or I coach leaders, I always consider the company they're in, the industry they're in, and the job they're actually doing. Expectations change depending on all three. This is why I love being a part of a leader's war room, where the wonderful and the hard decisions are made on a daily basis. I'm excited to roll this series out because it closely aligns with my book that's coming out early next year. It's my way of giving back after 20 years of doing this work. Series 2, the deep dive discussions with leaders and experts. This is where we're going to explore what really happens in business and leadership. Real conversations with real leaders, founders, and industry experts. We will explore how people are actually winning in their business and in their industry. We'll explore the leader's war room. When I say war room, I don't mean aggression. What I do mean is alignment. It's where leaders make sense of chaotic conditions, where they clarify the mission and objectives, where they choose decisive actions, where they coordinate people like a unified force, and where they adjust quickly when things change. The Frank Talk Deep Dive series takes you into the real world of business. Our third series is Hot Topics. Purposeful, fast, focused episodes on the things that leaders want and need to know right now. Fresh trends, AI's impact on leadership and talent, shifts in workplace expectations, subjects relevant to frontline operations, safety, digital tools, moments that can be reposted, clipped, and shared. If it's affecting leaders today, it'll show up here, and honestly. And for those who want to know more about MPS and the work we do, our assessments, our coaching, our organizational consulting, we're creating a playlist just for that. So if you want a quick, clean overview of our services and how they can help you, you'll be able to find that in its own playlist. Here's what you can expect from Frank Talk. Honest leadership conversations. No cliches, no fluff. Practical tools that you can use immediately. Real stories from real leaders. Insight into the issues impacting leaders today in a dynamic, engaging format. Our goal is simple. We want you to step into the real conversations that leaders in business are having every single day. If today's conversation resonates with you, if you're hungry for honest leadership insights, practical tools that you can actually use, and real stories from real leaders, then make sure that you follow and subscribe to Frank Talk. Share this with the leaders that you know, the leaders you're developing, and the leaders you want to see succeed. Because here's the truth. None of us have arrived. Leadership is earned every day. It's not inherited. So if you're willing to look at yourself and others honestly, if you're willing to keep an open mind and evaluate what's happening through a fresh lens, then you are sure to become and to develop the leaders of leaders that your organization needs.
And that's it for today's Frank Talk. Thanks for listening. And don't forget to subscribe for more straight shooting insights on what it takes to make an impact. We'll see you next time. Until then, stay sharp, stay honest, and keep it frank.